Hey everybody, Trisha. Okay, we gave all of our pieces a good 10 minutes to dry. So everything's nice and dry. So we can go ahead and we can start assembling everything. But the first thing I want to do is we're going to distress. So you want to find a chip brush, a yucky, beat up chip brush that's just been used a bazillion times because that's the best type of chip brush to have. So we're going to go ahead and distress everything a little bit before I do the striping on the top of the hat. So I'm going to give it that blue jean kind of look. So I'm going to go ahead and just add, I'm going to switch to our overhead camera so you guys can see better. So I'm just going to take just a little bit of paint on here and offload it just a little bit. I want to get very, very long swipes and just kind of come back and forth, okay? Just to kind of distress everything just a bit, okay? Just like that. Then, typical dark denim, we're going to kind of come back the other way just a little bit. We'll just add just a little bit more paint and just kind of head it the other way. Okay, I'm going to flip this around and then kind of get the bottom just a little bit so it has the striping going the other way too. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing with all of our pieces. So everything looks a little rustic and a little weathered. Just going to take my pieces, just use the paint that's already on there, and I'm just going to kind of hit it. Okay. And I'm going to do the nose. Oops. But first I'm going to come in and I'm going to hit all the way around, just so it looks a little, and then I'm going to pull in just a little bit. And then one quick pass across. Okay, so it just looks a little bit weathered. Okay, add just a little bit. Yeah, we're not going to do the eyeballs because we're going to add a white dot. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Just going to kind of pull in on just little directions. That one was a bit much, so we'll just pull it off. Just a bit. And if you ever do just a little bit more than what you wanted to do, just grab a baby wipe. And you can just kind of wipe it. And it's gone. See? Let it dry. Okay. And I'm just going to kind of come in and just hit those little edges of those little petals just a little bit. Just a little. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing with just a bit white, just in the center of that. I'm going to do a quick pass of our letters and just kind of so they look a little weathered. Do the same thing. I'm just going to hold them down a little bit, drag the brush from side to side, just a little bit. See the difference? How it just looks a little tiny bit weathered. Okay. And then I'll do the same thing with the okay. And we're done with that. I'm going to do just a little bit on the leaves. Greenery there just a bit. Not too much, but just enough to everything looks like it's been out just a bit in the sun. And see how I came on for just a little bit more than I wanted on that, but that's okay. We'll just kind of like that. I'm just going to kind of pull it off the center just a little bit and just kind of blend that. There we go. That's going to give me a little bit more shading on there. Add just a little bit more to this one. There we go. And then I'm going to hit these a bit, just so it looks a little weathered. So nice little bit of distressing there. And do the same thing over here, just a bit. This one is a little much, so we'll just kind of wipe that in. There we go. And just add a little bit more. Nice. That'll just take a minute or so to dry. And while that is drying, I want to come in, and I don't need to add anything to eyes, but I'm going to stick this out to the side. We come in with just a little bit of white paint and just do a little dot in the center of each eye. And then I'll give him just a little reflection. So I'll be looking up a bit to the side. Okay, and then I'm just going to come in here and just add just tiny little bits of highlight here. Just a little bit, just so it picks up some white. There we go. A little bit just makes a big difference there. There we go. That works really good. Okay. You have to add a little bit of water to my cup just so I can put that in. Just gonna put my little cup, my little chip brush and stuff in there. Okay, so I'm gonna let these two pieces dry for just a second. And while they're drying, there is a little bit of crisscrossing on this design. And you don't have to do the crisscrossing on here. You can leave it as is, like that, or you can crisscross. I am going to crisscross it, and I think I'm going to use the lighter blue for that. Just because I think that will look super cute. But it might be a little bit too much with the other lighter blue. But let's give it a try. Let's see. And sometimes it's just kind of working these things to see what you like and what you don't like. So I'm going to go ahead and get another one of these tiny little liner brushes. And I'm just going to add a little bit of paint. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to just add just a bit of the lines here. And the easiest thing to do is pull everything in one direction. Just add just a tiny drop of water to that so that it doesn't drag. So we'll just add just a tiny bit of water. See how that was dragging just a bit? We'll just kind of come in and just touch that up. Okay. On here, oops, that was just a little. Again, you just need to add a little bit of water to that so it doesn't do that. And then we'll come back the other way. See, the lines have been put in here for you by the laser. But again, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. Don't feel like it's required. It's just whether or not you like it. You can go ahead and do it. Okay? We'll just put a little bit back there. So just a little bit. one looks a little dry, so we'll just kind of come in and just add a little bit more. I want to make this one a little bit thicker. Just start to come in and just thicken that one up a bit. Do the same with this one. There we go. Just to make it a little bit brighter. Okay. And we'll let that dry. Now the last thing we're going to do is we are going to do a little bit of cleanup. So sometimes you get a little bit of, just a little bit of paint on the edges of some of your outer layers, and you don't want that to show. So to clean up those edges, we're just going to go ahead and go a little stunning. Little makeup sponge, and we'll just hit the edges just a little bit. Look at this one. You're gonna see, and we're good. Looks pretty good, but right here it's just a little dirty. So I'm just gonna get the tiniest little bit, and I'm just gonna kind of hit the edge. And you can do that all the way around and clean everything up. Okay. There we go. And if there's any other little pieces that look like they got messy, you can do those, like the hello. Top of the hello got a little dirty, so we'll just kind of hit that just a little bit and clean up those edges. It's just a tiny little bit, just so it looks very clean. This one has just a little bit. Just kind of clean that up a little bit. And it's just a very light little movement. But then your edges look clean. Nobody's going to see the top of that one. You know what? You can really make that one just a little bit thicker. So it shows a little bit on the top. And there we go. A little bit on the top and just a little bit more. Just let that kind of come over and just add that natural highlighting. There we go. Just a bit. Just to, when you have this color next to this color, it gives that little bit of distressing in there, just to kind of dirty it up a little bit. Okay. Instead of painting everything, just kind of add those. I might just do that just a little bit on here, just to kind of darken up those very edges just a bit and make it look a little weathered. That's good. That's right, just enough. And you can come in and darken up the lines in the center if you like as well. Maybe we'll do that just to kind of give it more of that rustic, vintage feel. So just kind of come in and get that little blue off of this one. A little bit of water to that, kind of mix it in here. And then I'll just kind of come in and just add these little bit of lines. Just to kind of make it a little bit dirtier. A little bit more rustic. And I'm just going to kind of clean up that one. Maybe just add a little bit here. Just a little bit. Just a little. Not all of them, but just a little bit. Make it just look a little bit dirty. And then I think for his nose, I think we're going to just kind of come off and just add just a little character. You kind of add just a few little marks. Not a lot, but again, just a little. Just gonna kind of thicken those up a little bit. So cute. Okay, so I'm gonna start gluing. Okay. I'll put these pieces up here to dry a bit. And I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna grab my glue and just add some glue to the edges. Okay, and I want to make sure that these are lining up correctly before I press. So I'm just going to line these up nicely, and then I'm going to press down. I'll take a minute for those to hold. So just press just for a minute or so, and then we'll come and press a little bit in the center. There we go. Okay, that's not going to move. I'm going to flip this guy around, and you'll see how this one's going to line up. And elbow on top heavy. Keeps wanting to fold over. Okay. And we'll just line that up nicely and push down. See how you can see a bit of that distressing in here. Just kind of makes it look a little bit old. A little bit weathered. Okay, that's on its snuggle bang. All right, so I'm going to come in and I'm going to get a smaller bottle for our letters. I don't want too much glue on there so it's squirting out. Just enough to hold it. I turn this sideways so I can see exactly where it's lining up. There we go. And I'm not going to press down on them until they're set for a minute because I don't want the glue to squirt out. So I'm just going to leave it for a second. And once it's there, then I can push down. And I know it won't move. Okay, that one's stuck on. Let me get this one. Oops, get that little cap out of the way. And make sure that they're straight. Okay, push down on this one now. And add a little bit of glue to the F. Okay, get our hello. These micro bottles are so nice because it allows the glue to go on there, but not too thick where it's going to squirt out everywhere. So I highly recommend if you're going to glue little tiny pieces like this, you look at getting some micro bottles, just micro tip bottles. I'm just going to trim this around here and bring this up. And I'll just inch that over just the smallest little bits. Okay. And then hold everything down so it can stick. Okay. Right. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get this glue down here. And this is one of those where you need the micro bottle to kind of get into these lines so it sticks, but yet doesn't squirt out everywhere. micro or precision. Kind of recalls a bunch of different things. And just going to kind of line this up. The center. And then push down a little bit. Okay. This is going to go here, but before I glue that, I want to make sure all of my pieces for my flowers are going to line up correctly. So this one's going to fit into here, like this, and then it fits into this one. So I just want to make sure everything is going to line up correctly before I start gluing things down. There we go. And then that one will go into this one. This one. And this piece. Yep, just like that. Those are my pieces. But I'm not liking how thick that little bit of black is right there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add just a tiny bit of white to this and just kind of hit just a little bit of the white. You like it, and then sometimes you think, okay, it just needs to be softened just a little bit. So I'm just going to add just a little bit of white on top of that, just to kind of soften it up. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and come in with the bigger bottle just to get more glue in the center. Okay, I want these to be lined up so that when I put everything down, it's going to match up correctly. So here we go. And this one lines up right there. Okay, then we'll go ahead and just press this down. And then I'm going to go ahead and come in with just a little bit of glue on this leaf first. And we'll get this one done. To make that one line up correctly. There we go. And I will line this one up. Get this one out of the way. And just to make sure that that is lining up correctly. Just push that in. And then this one feeds right into there like that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get the eyeballs all lined up. With this little bit of reflection. I have to fill this bottle back up. It's getting a little bit low. Like I said, we don't push down at first. We just kind of let it set for a second, and then we'll go ahead and push down with a second to make sure everything is lining up. Everything looks straight. And then we'll let it set. Okay, his cute nose. I'm going to come in here with the thicker all there. And Harden comes down. There we go. Take his hair. He'll line up like that. Just line that one up. So it lines up correctly. Make sure this one's good to go. It's kind of scoot right in underneath. Go ahead and add just a little bit of the thicker And then we'll come through with the edge and get it with the smaller bottle. So we don't want these to pull off. Okay. And we'll just scooch that underneath. That little green right there. And just line that up. There we go. We want all of these to line up nicely. There we go. I'll just press down just a little bit on that one, and I'll come back and I'll press a little bit harder in a second. Go ahead and give the side. Isn't it just looking adorable? I'm going to go ahead and come in here with the thicker one. Add just a little bit. And I'll come in with the micro bottle and get the ends. It's doing a little bit, sorry. Okay. So we're going to get this to line up nicely. Everything is fitting really nice. We'll push down just a little bit. I'm going to make sure his nose is just pressed down, just to make sure there's no air pockets. Same thing with his nose. Excuse me. And the last thing is his little handkerchief. This one came a little bit too close to the edge. I'll wipe just a little off. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay, let me put my tops on my bottles of glue so they do not dry out. So I want to show you before we put on our twine to hang him up and make a little bow, just what he looks like. Isn't he adorable? So cute. So I picked out some really, really cute ribbon for making a little bow for him. First, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add his twine. So I just got some thick twine for hanging him. And just going to kind of feed this through. Oops. Gotta have a clean edge to feed these through, so I'm just going to kind of cut that off. It's very thick twine. So it takes a little bit to cut into. There we go. That one's through. Just going to twist this to make sure this one's through. There we go. And I'm just going to tie this in. Excuse me, here in a tight knot. Just going to trim off the edge just a little bit so it's not sticking out too much. And I'm just going to tie it in another tight little knot right at the end there. So it's not going anywhere. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Try and get it as close to the edge as I can. Pull it real tight. And do a second one. And pull this one really tight. Okay, so there's my dog hanger. You can make this as short as you want, as long as you want. I like it just a little bit longer, and then if you need to shorten it, you can. So I got two really cute looking denim ribbons. And we're just going to go ahead and get this plastic for that one. And take out this bigger one. And this one has a little bit of extra plastic on here. So we'll get this off as well. There's my protection for it. Zip that off and get that out of the way. Okay. So I'm just going to make, I don't want my bow to be too big. I don't want the bow to take away from the door hanger. I'm just going to kind of trim that up a little bit to see from my side. And I'm going to trim the edge up a bit. Just so it's in an angle. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. These are just, scissors are not the best. I have to grab a less worn hair for the next, in the next video. Okay, just cut those on a nice edge. So that way we can make a little tiny bow for here. Okay, and then just to lighten this up, we'll just kind of get a little piece here of this one, just to kind of bring in that cream again. Oh, gotta get a new pair of scissors up here. Like this thick thorn in your ribbon. We'll make it work for this one. And so we just want to kind of layer these up so they're even. And then I'll come in with the smaller one. So we want the underneath one to show through. You want to make this one a little bit smaller than the bottom one. So this one I'm going to come in and going to cut again on an angle. And cut this one on this angle. All the scissors I have in my shop, I don't know why I grabbed these ones. We'll clean it up in just a minute. And I'll grab a new pair for the next video that we do. It'll burn the edges so they will look nice and clean anyway, so no problem. So I just want to make sure that this bow is just a little bit smaller than this one on the top. Top one's just a little smaller than the one on the back. So this part is just a little bit too long. Let me just trim this. Okay, and then I have up here some more twine or pipe cleaner.
It's my pipe thing.
So I'm just going to take my pipe cleaner and I'm going to pull these through to the center and pull these through. You can go with a different color if you want. If you want to go with a white, you can do white. You want to go with a cream. If you want to go with a darker blue. I just thought the brown would tie in really nice with all of the colors and give it a little bit of dimension. So I'm just gonna pull that tightly, and then I'm just gonna kind of fluff this just a little bit so you can see the back, you can see the front, and kind of open these up just a little bit. Again, I want these to be just a little bit off. I'm gonna come in off camera and burn the edges so they look nice and clean. I'm gonna pull this one out a little bit. and just kind of fluff that. So there we go. And then I'm just going to feed this smaller piece into the edge of that pole. Pull that forward. And so this one will just twist onto the edge. And then I can trim off any extra pipe cleaner. But then it'll sit on nicely. Let me make sure it's filling correctly. And then I will trim that and get that out of the way. All right. Let me get these out of the way. I will burn this off camera so that I am not the one encouraging you to start revving out fire. But it's a great way to clean up these little wispy edges. For right now, I'm just going to kind of fold that over so you don't see it so much. There we go. So we've got our little bow. And I'm going to switch to the camera in front so I can hold it up. And I kind of clean this out of the way. Isn't it adorable? You just love this. It's just so cute for fall. I just love it to pieces. It was very simple to make, very quick to make. You can do it. Anybody can do this. It just takes a little bit of fun, a little bit of paint, and you can bring a cutie like this to life. Well, thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.